Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Expansion Pass here on Watch First Games. I'm your host, the Enlightened Excited Eddie B. Joining me is the one, the only bossman himself, Mr. Corey Dirrig. Hello, good sir.
Hello, Xbox on.
Yes, and everybody, we have wow, we have a special guest, the Wise West Constant Night. You know, and I gotta do our old school.
Here we go.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that I forgot.
Everybody, please welcome to Wise West Constant Night, Mr. Jesse Douglas. Hello, good sir.
Yeah. How's it going? Yeah, we were doing that before it was cool to do.
Yes. Everybody, this is a next gen Nintendo episode, and we got some bonkers news this episode, like this week. We are going to be talking about Microsoft's commitment to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo and other Activision games. And I'll just let everybody know that the deal that from Microsoft, this 10-year deal, does not encompass any additional Xbox IP. Coming from Nintendo Life, there has been some confusion in light of Brad Smith's tweet regarding the 10-year legal agreement between Microsoft and Nintendo. What he said was, we now signed a binding 10-year contract to bring Xbox games to Nintendo gamers. This is just part of our commitment to bring Xbox games and Activision titles like Call of Duty to more players on more platforms. Smith stated, as stated by Tom Warren over on Twitter, Microsoft was asked for clarification on the matter during its Activision Blizzard press conference in Brussels. And Brad Smith responded to confirm that the deal is specifically for Call of Duty, stating, the Nintendo agreement is focused on Call of Duty and it builds on the agreements that we had in place to date with Nintendo for other games. So, just to clarify that, you know, they're bringing more Activisions, but especially Call of Duty. But everybody got the idea that Xbox IPs will also be coming to Nintendo future consoles or to Nintendo's platform in the future. So guys, with this news, knowing that there's going to be 10 years of Call of Duty on Nintendo's platform, we don't know when the deal starts because Microsoft actually haven't acquired Activision Blizzard just yet. But once they do acquire them, if the deal goes through, there's a promise that we're going to be getting games from them, especially with Call of Duty and everything. And I kind of want to ask you guys, when you heard this or seen the original story, what were your thoughts for it? Corey, I'm gonna start with you.
I mean, I think the first thing was like, well, Nintendo's next console must be coming sooner than we thought because these games are not gonna. And even Phil Spencer came out at some point and said he wants these games to run natively, right? Even though they have cloud tech, and maybe we'll be able to get some sort of curated version of Game Pass on Switch, which we've been talking about for years at this point, right? All three of us on various shows and episodes and conversations and text chats and whatever. Like, I think the whole thing is we just want Xbox and Nintendo to get married and hurry up and get hitched so we can enjoy the fruits of the Xbox in a handheld fashion. Because don't get me wrong, I have a backbone and it's fun and it works sometimes, but there's nothing like playing a game natively on your console. And so my hope is that whatever the next version of Switch is, like, I still think it's going to be a hybrid. I really do think it's going to be a hybrid, a more powerful hybrid, probably something along the lines of like the high-end Steam Deck, or probably a little less powerful, but something along those lines of, like, you know, maybe some sort of hard drive inside and graphical capabilities that can run things that, you know, we want to see. And I think that will give Xbox more wiggle room to kind of put more things on the Switch. Like, I mean, Xbox has already put stuff on Switch, right? With Minecraft and you know, a few other things, like Ori is over there, Cuphead, even though it's not really Microsoft published, but they let them out of that side of their contract to put it there.
Mm.
And then Activision Blizzard has put everything on Switch besides Call of Duty already, right? Like Crash and Spyro and a few other things. Blizzard obviously has Overwatch and Diablo on Switch running, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think this is any different, but I think they just want to show that they're committed, and that obviously Xbox is kind of their business model doesn't revolve around hardware. It revolves around the Game Pass subscription and selling games and giving players choice of where they want to play, right? Steam, Microsoft Store, Xbox, cloud gaming, your phone, and hopefully Switch and beyond, right? Like that's kind of where we're at. And I think that's exciting to a lot of gamers, especially someone like me, and probably, I'm assuming Jesse, who primarily Xbox gamers who love Nintendo also and would love to have an Xbox experience in a handheld form. Everybody wants that X boy that they were talking about 20 years ago, and then they just kind of canceled that idea.
I remember that name. Oh boy.
Yeah. And so like I really like the idea of a handheld Xbox. I don't like that you have to hack a Steam Deck to use Game Pass natively. I don't like these third-party cloud options. I think cloud should be it shouldn't be the primary way you play these games, right? That's why Google Stadia failed. That's why Luna's not doing great. That's why you know, On Live never made it, right? Like that's just not the way we want to play games or primarily play games. And so I think with a more powerful Switch and a partnership with Xbox, this type of conversation goes away and we can just enjoy Xbox games on Switch and maybe get a curated version of Game Pass. Now, I know that this kind of revolves around Call of Duty and Activision and Blizzard to some extent, right? Because they just want to get this deal done, and promising Call of Duty is a huge deal. But on the flip side, you look at it as, well, what if I can play the Master Chief Collection in handheld mode when I'm on vacation? What if I just want to run a few campaign missions? Or what if I can play Destiny in handheld mode, which is that would be the big game changer for me, right? I think there's a lot of possibilities here, and I think that this is only the beginning of the conversation that we've been having for 5 years. If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support.
Well, what about you, Jesse? Just like hearing this information, what did you think of the original story?
Well, so like, yeah, I mean the nice thing about it is like, I think Microsoft's definitely going about it the right way. Like, like we there was a time that I think like a lot of people are like, okay, if Microsoft starts buying up these games and stuff and they try keeping it only on Xbox, or if they don't only keep it on Xbox and still let you have these games other places, like what's the point? Or if they that they're still gonna lose money, or there's all these kinds of things that people would talk about. But like, I think this is the kind of the nice part of like them being able to have those and then bring it to places that wouldn't have been able to have it, like, or bring like features to some of these games that might not have been, like, like I was just thinking, well, Corey was talking, so there's a generic version of Call of Duty games that have been on mobile since I think I had my Samsung Galaxy S3.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what they're called right now, but it basically was Call of Duty, but it was like, just someone else's version of it that was for phone. And those games, including the Call of Duty game that's on phones, those games look really good, like, on a phone. And the phone is way smaller than a Switch, so like it, I think we're getting to the point now, like the what is it, the new the 4090 and stuff like that, the is they have a version of it for laptops and stuff now. So like like those really really powerful graphics cards are already being put into something really small. So like now, like so that means that everything, you know, that came out a while ago that still would be powerful, compared to the Switch, like is can be made smaller and smaller. So like, I definitely think we will see a situation where we could play these games native on a Switch. But like I do think that, like Corey was saying too, with the like having some kind of version of like a Game Pass thing on the Switch, I could see them literally doing like an Activision, kind of like Ubisoft does, where they have like all the Ubisoft games. If you get the the membership for that,
Hmm.
for the Ubisoft stuff, then you can download the games or whatever. I could see them doing like even just an Activision thing for Switch. Like it would still, like they would maybe include it with Game Pass, like your Game Pass Ultimate
Hmm.
subscription. But there,
Yeah.
if you're on Switch, you'd be able to just have the cheap version of where you're getting is the Activision stuff on Switch. Like you
Well,
pay like, I don't know, like
well, you know how they have
$5 a month or
the ultimate edition, the ultimate tier. What if they
yeah.
did like a platinum tier where like, hey, yeah, if you do ultimate, you obviously get like cloud gaming or whatever, but if you
Yeah.
have a Switch or another gaming device, you can play these games natively for an extra $5 a month, like because
Yeah.
they're gonna have to pay Nintendo, they're gonna have to pay for their Activision development and stuff, right? So
Hmm.
you're gonna have to cover those costs, and we know that Game Pass is probably gonna go up soon anyway, right? I mean, they can't. $15 a month is a steal for that service, right? Like that service should be like $50 a month. Like I'm not even kidding. Uh, I don't. I mean, obviously, you got to be at a pay range where people are like, "Oh, that's not expensive." But I think Game Pass Ultimate's going to go up to 20, and then they're going to introduce that family tier or like a platinum tier or something, right? Like they're going to do something because between Activision and Blizzard alone, like those games are going to cost a lot, and so,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're gonna have to do some sort of tier to be able to play these games on a Nintendo console because they're gonna have to pay Nintendo. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing with this original announcement and everything that it's good on Microsoft that and on Nintendo part to come together to make one of once they if they acquire Activision, that they are going to bring the series back to Nintendo in a sense. Um, the thing about it is, will Nintendo players be ready for it? Because I think the thing about it is going to be the quality of this games. And I'm not
Hmm.
talking about current Switch. I'm talking about just the next gen Switch Deluxe and stuff. Um, Whatever Nintendo does to have their Switch Deluxe, be at least up to modern standards or something, that we be able to run the game. Is Microsoft going to make Activision to really treat this game just like the other versions for the Nintendo console? Like they're not going to uh go ha- they're not going to half dog it this game. They're going to they're going to give it their all and everything.
Yeah.
Because the thing about it is, right, I know we're going to have a discussion on remaster, but what Iron Galaxy did with Metroid Prime Remastered, with Retro, that's a high bar. And for as big as Activision is, and definitely with their developers being so talented, people are going to expect that, okay, you guys need to meet this bar, even though it's not a porting kind of sense and everything.
Mhm.
um the quality that's in Metroid Prime Remaster has set a new bar for expectations for developers bringing some of these games to a Nintendo platform. So you cannot FIFA this. You cannot do anything that EA's doing with the current Nintendo hardware. You got to really up your game with this and
Mhm.
treat it. And if you're going to, want this thing to be native, we just want it to be treated fairly and let the quality speak that, okay, you guys really went in. You talk about day one releases. If Nintendo version is going to get delayed, all three versions or all two, but the PC version is going to get delayed because Phil Spencer did, or Brad Smith, or one of them did say that when Call of Duty comes out on Xbox, we want to put it on Nintendo day one,
Hmm.
and
Mhm.
that's a high that's to for a lot of Nintendo players, that's good to hear because it
Mhm.
doesn't mean it. But to me personally, it means that while the game's in development, all the whole game is getting developed for all the systems is going to be released on. So when it's ready to release, all of them get it, especially
Mhm.
Nintendo. You know that it's going to be. I mean, we understand patches and stuff, but it's going to be very minor patches and stuff. And I think because they want to put Crash on it, they want to put Diablo 4 on it. Like uh, they want to get stuff on it from Activision, um, and Blizzard and stuff with this contract because I literally feel like Microsoft should have even could still go further to be like, if we cannot get the Activision deal going, I want to get the ZeniMax deal going because
Mhm.
seeing how Skyrim, well, not so much Skyrim, seeing how much Doom did and Wolfenstein did on Switch, we would love to put Hi-Fi Rush on Switch. We would love to um, put these games that were so surprising that they did so well on Switch. Well, here goes Switch Deluxe that's giving us more power and more to do. We want to continue to do that because, like you talked about, Corey, that Nintendo being more conservative with their business and stuff. If
Hmm.
Nintendo was being open with definitely with Microsoft, this to me personally is the Sega and Nintendo part two in a sense. Because when Sega started bringing their games to Nintendo, that bank started rolling. That
Yeah.
that stuff started putting Sega into the black. And
Yeah.
like Microsoft knows that, man, they are doing good on physical sales. So if we could like just give them that same quality and we could get those sales, oh shoot, people are okay. Ghostwire Tokyo might not have got noticed or anything, but if it's doing bomb numbers on this on Switch Deluxe, Microsoft is gonna go there. Let's go get that money.
Yeah.
And if players are talking about it, they're gonna show that, hey, Marco, they're gonna show a lot of companies why is Microsoft getting it right and other companies are not.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
also think it comes down to like Microsoft's philosophy pairs well with Nintendo's philosophy at this point, right? Where like
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo is really, I mean, they're how do I want to put this? They are open. Nintendo is more open to having more things on their platform than they have previously, right? I think they've made a lot of concessions to, adopt a more friendly platform, right? I mean, I know they're on a mobile kind of uh they're on like a mobile type of thing, but
Mhm.
what do you call it? Gosh, chipset cheese.
Yeah.
As opposed to the x86 architecture, but the Tegra chips are way more user friendly to develop for than the proprietary stuff that the Wii U was using.
Yeah.
Um, and also they're making a lot more deals with people to have games on their platform, as opposed to uh, when they were just like, yeah, you can put your games here if you want, but we're not counting on it type thing. And Microsoft wants their games everywhere. So I mean, I just think their philosophies go together well right now in terms of like how to put games on the platform.
Yeah, because like I feel like Nintendo is still like we want to bring fun to the consumers on our platform, and if Microsoft is like we also want to bring fun, but we want to make sure that you could play that fun anywhere. Yeah, I can
Well,
see the connection. Oh, go ahead,
well,
Jesse.
and I think this is part of, this is a big part of like Phil Spencer's kind of, like what, because it works both ways. Like, he really was wanting to reach out to the Japanese studios and stuff, and trying to get the Japanese like games and stuff, more of that stuff on Xbox. But he, like, it works both ways. There's also a lot of, like, things like Call of Duty and stuff that are really big, that being able to be brought to a Switch, in Japan and stuff like that, it might change, how that stuff is seen as well. Because I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, like, the PS5, you could play them on there and stuff too, but we still know that the Switch is still much more popular, in Japan and stuff like that. And it's bigger there, so they're going to reach more people there. Even if it didn't do a whole lot here, it doesn't matter for Microsoft, because just the fact of bringing stuff like that over to that country, and kind of giving them the best of the Americas, like what America has to offer.
Hmm.
And in return, wanting to get like the personas and the things like that are popular there, to come here. It's kind of like, that's how I look at it, as
Hmm.
like what this is kind of, I think, might be going on in the background. Is it's you know there's just a lot of stuff that isn't on Switch, that's popular here, that isn't there. But if it's on the Switch, it could very well become much more popular there as well.
Yeah. I
But
so I really love Xbox, but I wonder how much this is a transition into them maybe becoming some sort of partial third party, you know.
yeah,
And which I mean, I know Game Pass is like the thing, right? Like if they could get Game Pass on PlayStation or something, or like some sort of
Hmm.
curated version of it too, like that's the dream. I mean, back
yeah,
in like the early days of the PS4, they were talking about porting the Master Chief Collection over to PS4, which is hilarious.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I mean, Xbox's premier franchise, especially at that time, is like playing it on PlayStation. Like, there would be no reason to buy an Xbox. Well, I mean, there would be, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
it's I don't know. Like, I've invested so much money into the Xbox ecosystem, and like it would just really bum me out if Xbox just went away, like the storefront and the boxes. But at the same time, I understand what they're trying to do,
Hmm.
and I just hope I hope they're not putting their foot in their mouth by trying to do one thing while also I feel like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. I
Yeah.
really hope that they can do that because I don't know. I'm just kind of worried a little bit. Not a
I'm
lot, but
I'm
just a
I'm
little bit.
not. I'm not, and you know why? Because there's every TV that you buy now is a smart TV, but there's always going to be Roku's. There's always going to be Fire Sticks. There's always going to be Apple TVs, because though getting that hardware gives you something that your smart TVs or whatever aren't going to offer. There's going to be something that's specific to that. So I think it's the same. I think you can look at it the same way with the Xbox.
Hmm.
Like, there's going to be a benefit to you to get an Xbox,
Hmm.
because like, even if you can still use Game Pass somewhere else, there's going to always be a benefit, I think, that they'll make sure that exists for the people who bought their boxes. But but it won't be the only place that you can do like 80% of what it their service has to offer. I
Right.
think that's what if it does morph into anything like what you're thinking, I think that's what it's going to be like. It's going to be like your Roku's, where Roku's got the Roku TV, where they've got all these cool, like, they got movies and channels and things that you can only get through the Roku, you
Right.
know.
And I think like just from the Nintendo side, like I think Nintendo game wise, I'm about to speak game
Mhm.
wise, is that they're not asking for anything else from Xbox IP. You know,
Mhm.
um, even with this Activision deal to have Call of Duty and Overwatch and Diablo stuff and whatever, if it happens, it happens. And even if Nintendo feel like they don't get anything, the gamers are just like, oh, we're not getting it. Okay, that's fine. Oh, there's this new game coming out for Nintendo, this indie game and stuff. And I think Microsoft is just like they're recognizing to be like, if this is happening on Nintendo's console, we might want to jump onto that and everything. Because I think Nintendo needs to. I think right now Nintendo needs Microsoft not badly, but they need their engineers. They need their to learn their tech and their online and all of that stuff. Like Nintendo is not a tech company like Microsoft is, and Microsoft, I'm sorry to say, is not a software when it comes to games. It's not a game developer like Nintendo is, because Nintendo has that experience of making games and making people talk about it, where Microsoft, yeah, they do make games, but they're not on the same level of what Nintendo does. So there is something
Yeah.
that they both can learn and stuff
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
Like Halo 4 is a good perfect example. You have people from Retro Studios who left there, went to 343 Studios and made Halo 4. And when the people seen it, they were just like, this looks like Metroid. And everything, and people recognized it and stuff. So I'm not trying to knock Microsoft or anything, but Nintendo has had years of experience making games,
Mhm.
you know, but they don't have that experience in technology and stuff, you know.
Mhm.
Like you think of some of the Activision developers or some of the Xbox game studios going to Nintendo and learning from their teams, and then going back to be like, okay, we have learned the Eastern philosophy on how they design games. How do we apply that to making Western games? Because this is
Mhm.
what they was thinking of, and oh, okay, we could put it here. Nintendo be like, okay, yes, we are differently, how we do our tech and everything and our functionality. That might be suitable for Japan, but we gotta think about America and the UK and stuff. They have a different idea of online. Okay, Microsoft has one of the best online functionalities in their systems on how they do this, how the engineers are always creating and innovating stuff. How do we learn that as a company who wants to innovate? How do we learn how to innovate like Microsoft does? Bam, go there. Like they
Mhm.
literally could grab something from each other. Like Activision learning from learning on how to develop games from Nintendo and vice versa. Oh, that would be insane. We're already looking forward to Metro Prime 4 because all the people who worked on some of the biggest first person shooters making Metroid Prime 4. Like that's
Yeah.
insane to even think. So to see a Call of Duty game having some Nintendo philosophy in it and dropping on a Nintendo console, or just dropping on Nintendo, Xbox, PC, wherever they want to put it at, that would literally be insane. And I'm sorry, Sony. Yes, you have Destiny, but if you're gonna hurt your players because you don't want stuff like this to happen, that's a big thing. That's gonna hurt you in the long run than anything else.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I still think that like having that Xbox experience on a Nintendo console is something that Nintendo desperately needs as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I mean, kind of switching gears a little bit, like Nintendo's store sucks. Nintendo's online functionality is pretty bad. Like their account management system, like I almost feel like they could almost work together to the point where like, okay, well maybe Xbox gets some sort of their Nintendo Switch Online classic stuff if they build. I don't know. There would be some sort of weird trade, but like, and I know Nintendo would never put their games on another console, right? But like, just the thought of, hey, maybe I can play these a couple of these classic games on Xbox now,
Yeah.
and like maybe Xbox could give them achievements, or maybe Xbox could give them an online infrastructure they could use, and then you log into your Nintendo account through Xbox Live or something. Like, I mean, I don't know how that would all work. I don't know how that even remotely starts to work, but like Nintendo needs their online system revamped, and it's just it's an ugly mess. It's really a mess. And like trying to play Smash Brothers online still to this day is still like playing a slideshow sometimes. Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
not fun. And I mean, it's gotten better, but even Splatoon 3, their premier online shooter is like still crashes, you know?
Yeah.
There's
And
just a lot Microsoft could offer them aside from games that
Mm-hmm.
I think would be of great service to Nintendo.
yeah, like I said, like
Servers.
the best in functionality, Microsoft have it. Like the best in games, Nintendo has. Like
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, Corey. They can learn from each other because this is going to make Nintendo's next gen system. I won't say the ultimate system to have, but it's going to get people talking. It's going to create sales. It's going to be like, oh, I need this system.
Mhm.
I get the world of Microsoft, in it and Nintendo together. Oh heck yeah, I'm down for that, and people will pay the money for it. While Nintendo's just like, how do we make this affordable? This
Mm-hmm.
Xbox deal with Activision for 10 years, definitely for Call of Duty. I don't know how the sales are going to come out. It may be three. To me personally, it may be just like three games, um, because I don't know if they're gonna go back to the annual kind of release. But the way that they are, upgrading and releasing DLC content, and you gotta and everybody, please do remember, Call of Duty is almost a 200 gigabyte game now.
Oh, it's not that big. It's like 110.
Wasn't the last one like 200? No.
No, no, it's like 100. It's like it hovers around 100.
That's big. So Nintendo can't put like, oh, we need to put this on a 32 gig card, or no,
Yeah. Well,
you can't
4K
do none of
assets
that.
though.
Yeah,
You're
4K.
talking
Well,
about
yeah,
4K assets.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I'm
It's
just
yeah.
like,
And
but
texture packs that probably won't run on. I mean, like that. It's going to be at least like a third the size on a Nintendo platform, regardless.
yeah, but I'm like 1/10 of a Series X, like out of 1,000, or I'm gonna say 900 because or 800, depending on all the upgrades that come on Series X. Out of that, like 100 something is already dedicated to one game. How the heck that's going to happen for Nintendo when all they still use is the micro SD cards? And they're
I mean
and they're
I was gonna.
that's where Nintendo you come into Nintendo and they have to have some sort of like they have to have some sort of better online like a hard drive type of
mhm.
thing, and the online infrastructure, like all that stuff could mitigate a lot of that. And also like you could almost integrate, and this is where I know a lot of Nintendo fans will get mad, but like you could totally do some sort of cloud asset streaming into certain games, right? Like
Yes.
almost similar to like what Xenoblade Chronicles X did with the Wii U, except obviously you had to download those assets instead of cloud stream them in, but the technology is there to do that, right? To where you wouldn't have to have entire asset loads on the console also. But I mean, also having a basic hard drive on your console that Nintendo has never had would probably
I,
eliminate a lot of that
I
issue.
was
I
I was
I will.
gonna say, what if they come? What if they somehow made something that could connect into the dock, and you could take the things
Xbox
for
memory
the
card?
Xbox, and
Yeah,
plug it into it, and it would run
yeah.
it right
Is
off
that
of
like
your Xbox.
the SSD card kind
No,
of
Yeah, the
well,
SSD
yeah,
card thing. Yeah,
yeah,
a
yeah.
yeah,
micro
like it.
SSD?
Yeah, if they had like something that could run it off, like the games directly off that, but it would, obviously it would, the textures and everything would be downgraded because
Mhm.
the Switch wouldn't be running it in 4K, but it could still use the assets to,
Hmm.
to somehow, like checkerboard or whatever.
Hmm.
I mean,
But
why not? Like, and I kind of feel like with this deal happening, and stuff, I kind of feel like Microsoft might be involved with Nintendo's next gen console, with Switch Deluxe, or something. I mean, Nintendo would be crazy not to get Microsoft involved in this point. I think in the past, because of their relationship and the result of it, that gamers on both sides have been very positive to it. It really feels like, okay, Microsoft, we know that we're not doing the competition thing between you and Nintendo. We're not doing that because we're enjoying games on each respective platforms, and we're happy if something happens between you guys. Like, it's just been positive
Hmm.
feedback. And I feel like Nintendo, as much as I love you as a company, I can't wait for Switch Deluxe or whatever you have, whatever you decide to call it, and you do. You need to get Microsoft involved. We are now at a point where it's okay getting them involved and helping with the console, and in return, help Microsoft. Like, if you want some skins, or you wanna do like Apple and make Super Mario Run or something like that for Xbox. Like, I could see I could literally can see Fire Emblem Heroes running on Xbox for Game Pass. Why not? Like
well,
like in Oh, go ahead, Jesse.
all I was gonna say is, like, like when we talk about this, I just think of Dreamcast. Like, like, I mean, Dreamcast had an amazing online, like, like everything, like with the online stuff worked really well and all that, and I think part of that was because of Microsoft being involved in some of the, behind some of the tech stuff in the networking stuff and all that in the Dreamcast. So like, what if the next Switch just says like a Windows 11 logo on it or
Oh,
something, and that's it. They're just like, you know what? You don't really have to pay us anything. Just having that Windows logo on there is,
it literally would, as long as it don't crash. It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah,
Like,
like, or they could even work with Nintendo though to have, like, like, because like the Dreamcast had a version of Windows on it. It had its own version or whatever.
Yeah.
So like they could do something like that where Nintendo could, like, like work closer with them where they actually have their own version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in the end, I don't think it will hurt Nintendo Japan. It won't hurt the Japanese players, like you mentioned, Corey.
No.
If this literally helps Microsoft succeed better and bigger in Japan, why not?
Yeah.
Well, and just the online stuff, like the multiplayer stuff, like if they're involved, if Microsoft's involvement with it improved that immensely, d- the fans are it will speak for itself. Like like who's gonna be mad because the online infrastructure is better? Like no one's gonna be mad
Yeah. Who's
about that.
complaining about that?
Right.
So
Especially with all the,
like I
especially with like all the Azure stuff that they're doing. Like, I
mhm.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. I feel like Microsoft's online infrastructure stuff is like, especially working in that field, like I can kind
Sony's
of see
using it.
what's going on. Like it definitely like would help, you know.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Hollywood.
Yeah, and Sony's
It's
using
it's getting a phone call.
yeah, I mean Sony, like they're already sharing tech stuff with Sony in some format, like
Yeah.
with that kind of stuff. I know it's not if I remember correctly, it's not on the gaming end, is it? It's on like something else.
It's I mean, they're Sony's using Microsoft's cloud technology for a bunch of different things. I don't think it's gaming. I think
Yeah.
it's other stuff, but
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think they
but
might
it's
turn around
still
and use
there
that.
as an option if they want to, I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure Microsoft's not saying, "Hey, you can use this for everything except for gaming."
right.
I'm sure that's not the case. I'm sure they just feel like they probably don't need to right now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I mean, I just I think overall this is good for both sides. And I
mhm,
think they can both come to an agreement on what they actually want or need from each other. And I think
mhm.
Microsoft's going to be a little bit more lenient that way, but also Nintendo I think could gain a lot from Microsoft. Just having like a whole new library of games. Like I mean,
Yeah.
not that it's super important, but they could have like a whole new library aiming towards like a mature audience, right? Like with
Mhm.
Gears and Fable and Hellblade and Halo and like that kind of more adult audience, I guess you would say. And like
Yeah.
getting those games in Japan, Microsoft's been trying to crack the Japanese nut for years and they still like even though the Series S is popular over there, it's still like really difficult for them to sell consoles.
Yeah.
And I think this would be a way for them to get a foothold there without actually having to sell consoles,
Mhm.
which is good
Yeah,
for them.
just getting games out that were on a Nintendo console for a time period, and then just like you had all these companies that were like, yeah, we're not going to be developing our big games, like Ubisoft was doing that, where they do make games and stuff still for Switch, but they're not like their big hard hitters aren't coming there. And for Microsoft to say, hey, like, no, we still think that it's worth investing in having these games on the Switch. Like, that, I mean, that's a big deal. Like, just in general, like,
Hmm.
people that was kind of Phil Spencer's thing, is people should be able to play wherever they want, like,
Yeah,
right? And if people want to be able to play a Call of Duty on a Switch, and it's taking Microsoft to say, hey,
right.
put these games on the Switch, it's not our console, but put them on this,
Well,
like, I mean,
let's look at it
it's
this way, right? Like at the end of the day, these companies want to make money, and
yeah,
if the what they're doing isn't working, then they're going to find another way. And
yeah,
putting Xbox games, and whether or not they're inferior to the console, like the Xbox console versions, right? But like getting those, there's 120 something million Switches out there. That's 120 potential new clients, right? So
yeah,
even if you got, let's say, let's say 10% of them to sign up for Game Pass, that's still 1,200. That's still 12. that's still 12,000 new subscribers to Game Pass, which is ultimately what they want. So I think Microsoft, obviously they've been playing a different game for a while now, in that I think this is just another big step for them, and I really hope that this works out.
Yeah.
Ed's muted.
You're muted, Ed.
Nope, you're muted. You got to unmute on Zencaster.
Yeah, I forgot when that happens. I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
I muted you because you didn't mute yourself.
I thought, well, my thing was blinking on and off, so I wonder. Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you, Corey.
You're welcome. So I'm here.
Well, everybody, that's going to be it for Nintendo Expansion Pass. I want to thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Corey. This was a really good discussion, and I think, all in all, I think we are positive about this deal, and we're positive to see that Microsoft and Nintendo can really work. And we're hoping to see what the future holds for them. Definitely with Nintendo's next console in the future, we don't know. I think once we learn more and see the games that's running on it and what Microsoft themselves are going to bring to it, we could see something. We could see history being made once again, in a sense. But with that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Expansion Pass. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Nintendo Expansion Pass is part of Nintendo Power Block and is a product of Boss Rush Media LLC. The show is recorded from our headquarters in Akron, Ohio, and is hosted by me, Edward Varnell. My co-host is Corey Dirrig. You can find Corey at I Am Corey in HD on Twitter and Instagram, as well as hosting the Boss Rush Podcast and Tower Casuals, the Destiny Podcast. Follow Expansion Pass as part of Nintendo Power Block and on all social media platforms at Power Block Podcast. You can also follow Boss Rush Media and Boss Rush Network on all major social media platforms. Join the Boss Rush Network Discord and Facebook groups to interact with other friends and fans. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.